Here is your mobility workout. We're going to start with one knee down and one knee up. Make sure to have nice cushion underneath your bottom knee. You're going to place both hands next to the front foot and drive that front knee forward as you shift your hips down toward the floor, really focusing on opening up the hip, kind of nudging around where you feel like you might need it most. Now we're going to take that back leg and just swing it around about 90 degrees. And take your time here, shifting your hips toward that back heel as you keep that front knee over that front foot. So you really want to sort of shift around and look for the appropriate stretch through the groin, keeping the hands beside that front foot. You can return that back leg so it's straight, and then you're going to shift the hips up toward the ceiling. Bring that back foot in a little bit closer, and you're going to focus on that front hamstring. So you want to straighten the leg as much as you can, and then just release the tension by bending the knee a little bit, and then dive back into it. So you sort of want to pulse in and out of this stretch. Now we'll just take that back foot and turn it so that it's at a 90-degree angle from your front foot. And you want to keep the hands next to that front foot and just kind of wiggle around, shifting side to side a little bit, searching for a deeper hamstring stretch. This should get a different angle of the hamstring. Just take your time, reaching the tailbone up and back. Now you can turn that front foot so that it's forward, so both your toes are facing the same direction, and you're just going to sort of swing from side to side, so reaching for one foot all the way to the outside of that foot, and then coming around to the outside of the other foot. You can also separate your feet a little bit wider if you feel like you could use a deeper stretch through the side of the calf or the ankle. And we'll take this opportunity to switch sides from our half kneeling position. So facing in the other direction, you're going to drop that back knee onto your mat. And you want to keep the hands beside that front foot, pressing that knee forward, the front knee forward, and diving the hips down toward the floor. Now we'll take that back leg and swing it around to a 90-degree angle, searching for a deeper stretch through the groin and the inner thighs, keeping that front knee over the foot as much as you can, but also wanting to sort of drive the hips back toward the back heel. You can straighten out that back leg now, and we will go into a hamstring stretch. So sending the hips up toward the ceiling and bringing that back foot in just a little bit, reaching the tailbone up, straightening and releasing that front leg for a nice deep stretch, and then a little bit of a release. Now we'll turn that back heel so it's at about a 90-degree angle from the front foot. And again, you just want to go sort of side to side, shifting your weight a little bit so you can find where your body needs it most. Now keeping the feet wide, you're going to turn the toes into the same direction and take your time here and just hinge, getting a nice deep stretch through the hips. And then you're going to gently push the floor away with one arm as you reach the other arm up toward the ceiling. And your focus here is to really turn the shoulders and open the stretch. So try to avoid just sending your arm back. You want to keep the thumb facing forward. The palm is nice and open, pushing the floor away with one side as you turn your rib cage and your shoulders up toward the ceiling. We'll now shift into an alternating lateral squat. So keeping one leg really straight, you're going to squat into the opposite side, keeping that foot nice and flat on the floor. So gauge how low you can drop your hips by what your ankle can do, keeping your foot flat on the floor. You can take your time, wiggling around on one side as much as you need, and then shifting to the other side. So here you're searching for a nice deep stretch in the inner thigh of the straight leg and then the hip of the bending leg. From here, you can take your time and we will shift gears. So we will sit on the floor for a 90-90 stretch. So you'll have the front leg bent at a 90-degree angle, and then the back leg is also bent at a 90-degree angle. And you want to get your hips as flat on that floor as much as you can. If you need some sort of prop, you can grab a pillow or a yoga block, whatever you think might help. Leaning forward with your chest nice and open and your back straight, you're searching for a nice deep stretch through the hip of that front leg here. Now you'll find a resting position, so a nice tall position where you can lift the leg and back. So you just externally rotating the leg so the foot is lifting up toward the ceiling. Whatever range of motion you have here is fine. Try not to get a muscle cramp. Just focus on nice, smooth movement. So you're lifting the foot off the floor and then returning it down without cranking the back or really leaning forward or back too far. We can now switch sides, so you'll switch the leg that's in front and the leg that's in back, and we will repeat what we just did. So you will find a good sit position and then leaning forward over that front foot, over that leg, keeping the shoulders as square as you can, spine nice and straight, searching for your stretch without overdoing it. Whenever you're ready, you're going to find your tall position, and we'll focus on rotating that back leg so the foot comes off the floor. Remember, you want to find a position that you can hold and maintain so you're not shifting around just to compensate for a range of motion. So whatever you have for your range of motion when you lift that foot, just make sure it's controlled, and you're going to lower down and then lift back up. Now we'll spin that back leg around so that your feet are together, and then you're going to bring your soles of your feet together, and you want to pull them in towards your hips as much as you can, making sure that your sit bones are even on the floor and that your back is straight and your chest is proud. Kind of rock a little bit here, side to side, and just leaning forward as much as you're comfortable with. From here, you're going to swing the legs back behind you, and we're going to go into a Cobra. When you do deep hip stretching, sometimes you just need to open up through the front of the hips as well. So here you're on your hands and you're on the tops of your feet, and you're sort of letting your hips fall toward the floor, but you want to keep your legs super active and really squeeze the glutes. When you shorten your glutes, you're going to open up the front of the hips even more. Make sure not to dump into your low back. And of course, the best shift from here is into down dog. So pressing the hips up toward the ceiling, you're going to push the floor away with the arms, diving the head through the shoulders, and you'll take your time and just pedal through the feet, dropping one heel at a time as you pull your tailbone up toward the ceiling. Now you can walk your feet toward your hands, nice and easy. You want them at about hip width apart, maybe a little bit more. You're going to take your time and swing from the outside of one foot to the outside of the other foot, just like we did when our feet were wide. And this is going to give you a little extra hamstring stretch here, pulling the tailbone up to the ceiling the whole time. Inching the fingers forward while you're sending the tailbone way back, we're going to get one extra deep stretch, and then we're going to sink the hips down toward the floor, pushing the knees apart with the elbows, and then raising one arm at a time and coming up to a full stand. This is our overhead prep. And so we're going to reach up for the ceiling. We're going to fold, dropping the hips down nice and low, pushing the knees apart with the elbows, and then raising the arms one at a time up nice and tall. Nicely done.